clear the stage with all the best. Lot of good it did for me. I've walked the wall of China, walked till my feet were sore. Came home to Carolina and found my love next door.
Hello everybody, 'tis the Amazing Gaming Guy here, and welcome back to my build of Mainstreet in Planet Coaster. Now this week I thought it would be a cool idea to create a building that, like all of the other buildings I've built in Mainstreet so far, is very functional, a building that contains shops or maybe even the queue line to flat rides or something, so it's not just a facade, although it is a facade, but it's not just a facade for nothing, it's a facade for a purpose. There's something inside it that the people in the park can go to and use, but I also wanted it to interact with the big roller coaster that's in this area. And a note on that roller coaster, the coaster that I've got in currently, this launch coaster that you can see with all the inversions and stuff, I've been thinking myself for quite a while, and some of you guys have commented it in the video, that this really doesn't fit in the Mainstreet area, and you know what, I completely agree, and in the next video I'm going to be removing that coaster. I think I've decided to do that now. I kept it this long really only because I filmed these first 3 episodes of this series in a batch a number of weeks ago, and I decided quite a while ago that I did want to get rid of it, so that's what I will be doing next time. But for the building that I'm building now, I wanted to build it interacting with that, and hopefully whatever coaster that I bring in to replace this will interact in the same way with these buildings. That's the hope, and especially now that we have the new update and you can turn off collisions for coasters, I should be able to incorporate whatever new coaster I build in this area much easier with those buildings. So hopefully the original purpose of this building is not going to be sort of corrupted by changing that coaster. So the way that I've built this, I've started off by building a sort of 2-tone wall set. So I've started on the bottom with these sort of large irregular stone pattern in this white cream colour, and then above that I've gone on to use a more regular red brick pattern for the upper layer of this building, and all around the sides I'm going to be putting various different pillars and supports. They're going to be all white in colour or cream in colour, and I'm going to be using a mixture of the sort of white stucco supports and sort of wooden supports as well. So that's my intention for it. I'm going to have some balconies and things going around it as well, lots of pillars, and nice big tall green roofs. Now I thought I would talk a little bit about the architecture of this area, because I was prompted to really start digging into it by a comment on the first Mainstreet video by somebody who goes by the name of Airship Cpt, and they commented that the Disney Mainstreet style was quite close in architecture to a style which is called Second Empire. And I must admit I'd never heard of that before, and I was intrigued, and I did a bunch of research looking it up, and it's a really interesting style, so I thought I'd talk about it a little bit here because it's very related to the stuff that I'm building. So Second Empire differs a little bit around the world, but generally it was a style that appeared in the late 19th century and spanned a little bit into the early 20th century as well. That was when it was most popular, and the two sort of biggest variations of this style are the European Second Empire style and the America and Canada Second Empire style, which obviously the Disney Mainstreet is more close to. So in Europe, it evolved from a Baroque revival style, and it's very similar in style to sort of 17th century Renaissance. So, we're thinking buildings with big stone pillars, lots of stone. They're very ornate. They've got big tall roofs. And it's all about stone. It's all about these really strong, elegant, rich materials. We've got marble. We've got different types of stone. I couldn't think of another stone off the top of my head that would be used, but you get the idea. And a good example of this, if you want to look it up, is the Methodist Central Hall in Westminster in London. And then you also have the American and Canadian Second Empire style, which is slightly different. It's quite similar in most ways, but it's slightly different, not in terms of the material so much, but just in terms of the sort of tropes and the things that they frequently do in buildings. So again, it was late 19th century, early 20th century, and very frequently buildings within this style would incorporate a rectangular tower with a very steep mansard roof. So it's a lot like the buildings I built originally in the Mainstreet area, the first ones, in terms of it having that big sort of rectangular tower being the focus. So the buildings I'm building right now aren't quite falling into that sort of category entirely, but I'm obviously trying to follow it as closely as I can, whilst also making a building that interacts with the coaster going through it like this. So I'm kind of interpreting the style myself a little bit, and giving it a little bit of my own flair, just to make it work in this theme park setting. And this style, this American-Canadian Second Empire style, it's featured in both public and private buildings. I'm doing it more in the style of a public building, and lots of buildings that would have that are sort of the more grand city halls and courthouses and stuff. And again, if you want to look up an example, a really good one is the Eisenhower Executive Office Building in Washington DC. Just search that into Google, or I might even flash up an image it on this video, I don't know, but search it up on Google, have a look at it, and you'll see what I mean. It's got all these big pillars, it's got the steep roofs, it's got the sort of rectangular towers. You'll have to look at the pictures to see what I mean, but yeah. And also it's featured in private buildings as well, and funnily enough, the best example I can think of that is the Addams family house. So if you look up that house, that's kind of a good example of a house built in this Second Empire style. So go check out them. This is just, as I said, inspired by that comment from Airship Captain. So thank you very much, Mr. Airship Captain, or Mrs. Airship Captain, whoever you are. Thank you very much for encouraging me to check out the style and do my real proper research, rather than just looking at examples from Disney. It's a really, really good idea to actually look at what inspired the inspiration, So back to my own build, you can see that I've made these two towers, and I've joined them with a bridge going through the middle, and I'm doing lots of ornate design using the sort of stucco, what do they call them? I don't know. I've used them to cover here. You can see them right now, just below the fencing. Lots of that, and lots of sort of wall trims and fencing and pillars. And I've tried to make the pillaring even more ornate by doing one large pillar surrounded by a number of smaller wooden pillars, just to make it much more detailed and accurate. And then along the front wall of this building, I wanted this to look like a proper sort of shop with big shop windows. So I actually included a whole bunch of really large windows across this wall, which I haven't really done yet in any of these builds. And I thought that was pretty cool, pretty unique sort of looking design in this sort of, what would you call that green? It's like a lime green sort of, or a pale lime green sort of colour. Or a pistachio colour, yeah, I'm going to call it pistachio. And then obviously trying to make that more detailed by surrounding it with pillars, both on their side and upright, and some sort of little support pieces. And then I wanted to bring the doorway to this building out a little bit from the actual building itself. Now, currently, this is a doorway. I might end up going back and putting a shop in here, because after all that speech that I said at the beginning about making it functional and cool, I haven't actually given this building a function just yet. So yeah, I need to go back and make some amendments so it actually has a purpose. So there's a reason for the guests to actually, you know, walk up to it and interact with it and visit it, and make it look like they're actually interested in this building rather than just walking past it like they do seem to do with the scenery. I really like to have some interaction from, you know, the people in the game. I think that's lots of fun. And then I'm finishing it off with some of these nice flags in the sort of American style, with the sort of red, white and blue colour scheme and all the little stars and things, and going along with some planters, some hanging baskets, just to give it a little bit more colour, a little bit more pizzazz. I don't think hanging baskets are really a sort of pizzazz thing, really, are they? It's more Granny's nice garden porch thing, but sure, I thought it was cool. And then I wanted to put a little bit more detail onto the roof itself as well. So below the roof I've actually got some windows and put them on their side, and then copied and pasted these windows around the lower area of the roof to create sort of a, well, more detailing. I'm not really sure what you'd call that, like a... No idea what you'd call that, but I think it looks cool, and you see it on buildings, so yeah, there you go. You can tell I'm not so technical when I build, can't you? I really just sort of, you know, build it as I go along. Maybe it's not the best way to do it, but it's the way I do it, and it works okay. And then to add a little bit more detail to that, I went around with these support pieces in wood, just to make it look like those roofs weren't floating, because they did look a bit floaty, like they'd just been popped on the top. I really needed to integrate them as part of the building. I thought that was quite important. And then I felt like it needed even more detail in this top area, because these big brick walls were just so blank and boring. So I went around with some more of these support pieces and sort of gosh, I never know what to call the pieces in the game. I always forget their names. I don't know. I went around with some more detail, that's what I'll say. And of course I went around and copied and pasted all these windows as well, just to create loads of windows, loads of variety, just to cover these big blank walls as well. And you'll see I'm just about to copy and paste this building to the other side, and this was just before the update had come out, so I wasn't actually able to do the no clip, so that I could do it really easily for the ride going through it. So I actually had to align it perfectly so that the ride could go through it, which was a little bit difficult, and I'm so grateful that update's come out so I don't need to do this sort of thing again. So there we go. So yeah, that's just about all we have time for this week. If you have liked this, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!
Travel the world, yeah, what do you know? To find a brown-eyed man for a blue-eyed girl, what do you know? Somehow all that I've been longing for was found right here next door to me, was found right here next door to me.